Hey everybody, welcome back to part 4 of the series here. Last we left off, we just got through the desert and made it to the Bob-omb Outpost here. So just to start off right away, you'll see the frog coin guy here. This is where you turn in all of the frog coins that you get along the way. And there are just enough frog coins in the game to buy everything he has. No more, no less. We're gonna buy the Thunder Ball here, which grants us immunity to thunder. That's something that's going to help us out with a later hunt. One thing that you might notice is all of these Bob-ombs here have accents. I figure if in Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, they gave all the Bob-ombs Russian accents, so why can't I give them some kind of made-up accent? And this guy's giving us a hint here. He's taking care of his plant, and if we inspect this plant, we get a frog coin. This whirlpool leads to the sewers, and this statue fades away because we beat the blooper. We don't really need to be here right now. Part of the backstory that I have in my head for the Koopa brothers is that Black is kind of the most... he's the most that's like an actual ninja or a spy or something. Hence why there's this brief blackmail scene that seems to imply that Black has some past relationship with the Bob Elder here. I don't know. Fun backstory. And in true Bob-omb fashion, you get launched out of a cannon. Green is very aerodynamic, apparently. One thing you might notice on the right side of the screen, there's a platform there. We can't jump to it from here, but there is another way to get there, and I'll show you in just a sec. But here we are in Glitzville. But before we do that, let me show you the secret. You just jump off the ledge right here. This is a secret area known as Cumulo Keep. There's a lot of endgame equipment in here, flowers, one-of-a-kind type stuff, but we can't really do much of anything here. None of the exits work, and we didn't talk to the guy outside, but he explains that what we have to do is we have to find an item called the Cumulo Seal, which lets us talk to the statues, and upon talking to the statues, they'll tell you, I need you to get me a certain item. So you have to go and find all these items for these statues in order to move forward. But like I said, we can't do much there anyway for now, but we'll come back to it once we actually can do something. We don't need to buy the Dunk Glove, because that's Yellow's weapon, and he comes with it. We finally get a weapon for Black, which is nice. Yeah, it couldn't hurt to have one of these on hand. And we'll give Red the Thunder Ball. Even if there aren't that many enemies in here that use Thunder, it's still nice to have the extra defense it gives. And here we find the Glitzville current champion, Great Gonzalez Jr. I decided to add Glitzville as a level because it was one of my favorite levels in Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. And from what I can gather online, it's a lot of people's favorite level in that game. I guess people like the battle-heavy levels of the game. So I figured I'd add that in here. There's also a secret Glitz Pit arena where you fight 5 endgame level bosses, but we can't unlock that until we do some other stuff in the game, so I'll show you that when the time comes. And now we're dealing with the legalese. Kodovsky making us sign our lives away. Just like the original Glitz Pit, your first fight is the Goomba Bros. And they're not happy about the fact that you are also a Bros. Might as well show off the new weapon animations for the weapons we bought. This was a fun level to make. I enjoyed trying to figure out how to make it work. You know, I've got the doll on the table that you talk to for the match making system, where it comes up with the next match you're supposed to fight. And I'll also ask it what place you are, what rank you are. It was fun to figure out how I'd make that work exactly. And it seems to work just fine, which is nice. But here we finally meet Yellow, and he's telling us, beat me in a match, and I'll join you. So, let's fight him. Get him on our team. Guys are picking on black. Wow, I really don't like him. One of the things we're going to run into here is that Yellow is probably tougher as an enemy than he is as a teammate, which that's just kind of the nature of trying to balance a game. Yellow, as a member of your team, is more of a defense-oriented character. His magic that he knows involves healing and using status effects on enemies. But his attack power itself really isn't that great. It's nothing to write home about. Before we get to the next fight, we'll take a quick lap around here. This is the Major League locker room. We can't go in because we're not major leaguers. This is the manager's room, Todovsky, locked. This is the storage room, it's locked. This is the champs room, and it's also locked until we become champs. I had somebody comment that this area has a lot of locked doors. Well, they all become unlocked at some point or another. But these two rooms here are just the viewing areas. If you're interested in the dialogues of some of the characters in there, I suggest you go in there and check them out. But just for the sake of what we're trying to do here, where I'm trying to show you the gameplay more itself, rather than talk to every single character, I'll let you guys do that on your own time. Gotta battle some of these low-level doofuses before we get to the higher ranked matches and they actually become challenging. And you can rest in these beds, by the way. I had somebody tell me that they didn't know you could do that, so they kept going back into towns and resting up in between matches instead of just doing it here. So yes, you can do that. Let's add yellow to our team, since we haven't seen much. You can see the starting level here, he's level 6. We're a bit over-leveled, but that's because we've been doing optional content. So yellow's gonna be a bit behind, but that's alright. It'll even out as we get further in the game. It's not that big a deal. Since he's gonna be on our team, let's give him the Koopa badge. Boost his defense by even more. Another fun peek behind the development curtain is this room right here, the arena room. There are only so many characters, so many NPCs you can have in any one room before the graphics start to wig out because the game can't handle it. And that includes sprites that aren't even on the screen at the time. So, in order to have these arena matches where you go up to the stage and your opponent is waiting there for you and you have some quick little banter with them, I actually had to make 4 different arenas. Each has 5 different battle NPCs in it. Now, much like the Glitz Pit in Thousand Year Door, for the first 10 or so matches, there's not really anything that happens in between them. It's just fight the matches, beat them, and keep progressing. It's not till you get to the major leagues that there are a couple of things that happen in between. Probably should have brought Black for this fight, since he can use fire, but oh well, not that big a deal. These enemies are from like 2 levels ago, so they're not going to be that tough. This is where remembering enemy strengths and weaknesses comes in handy, because you fought all these guys before. But again, they're lower level compared to where we are now. It's really not that big a deal if you don't. One of the Yoshis in the viewing gallery comments on how he likes these guys, the big forks, because in true Yoshi fashion, he believes that eating your enemies is the best way to win. Alright, we're starting to get into more current enemies now. These guys were enemies back in the desert. There you go. Our lightning immunity coming in handy already. Things. Every time I try to do one of those lucky games, I get unlucky and end up losing everything. So, I'd rather not bother. You guys like that I used the Moleville Mountain minecart song as the battle theme for the Glitz Pit? I wanted it to have its own song, because these aren't just ordinary fights, these are special, you know, battle arena fights. And this is the least annoying song I could find to be a battle song. All of the other ones tend to... they just don't work as battle songs, if I can put it that way. We're getting there. I had somebody ask me, why don't you get coins as a prize after each match, like you do in Paper Mario? To which I say, well, you do get coins after each match. You just get them in the battle screen, instead of having somebody hand them to you afterward. See? You got 20 coins for that one. Nice, we got the Toad Guard army here. Never underestimate the importance of a good nap. Good advice for the real world, too. You'll find out very quickly that the Bob-ombs are the bad guys of this particular arc. They are running the Glitz Pit, or at least trying to run the Glitz Pit from behind the scenes. So we end up, just by climbing the ranks, we kind of end up accidentally stopping them. And as you can see, they do more than just blow up on you. Sometimes they might have an attack that doesn't kill them. Although they still blow up too. And now we get to move up to the major leagues. We get a personal congratulations from the man himself. Toadofsky, in the original game, struck me as a very flamboyant character. He was very passionate about his music and whatnot. So I figured he'd be a fun character to reintroduce in this game in some other capacity. So I decided to make him in charge of the Glitz Pit. This is where the fights start getting tougher, so more frequent naps and healing is a good idea. As usual, the only way to beat a Dry Bones is to use magic on it. Got the spiky family tree here. Spiky, pointy, and prickly. Now, if memory serves, I think prickly weak to fire. Maybe not. We can always try poisoning. You'll notice that these guys are called Shirets. That's because in a level not far from now, these guys are actually just the normal enemies that you'll fight in that level. They're Shy Guy Pirates. Shy Guy Pirates. Shirets. Rank 7, not bad. Getting there. This battle itself is with heavy Troopas, but the heavy Troopas are too big to get on screen. Goes back to that issue I was talking about with how limited the Super Nintendo is with its graphics capabilities. So they were represented by just a regular old flying Troopa instead. Need magic. Yeah, we might as well heal. And we're fighting more bombs this time. Same issue as the last guys with the heavy troopas. Couldn't get the big bombs on screen, so they were represented by little bombs. Bombs all have this quality where you can set them off early by using a fire attack. Like that. Getting a little more exposition here. So part of why I wanted the bombs to be the bad guys of this arc, to have kind of this behind-the-scenes mob mafia thing that they've got going on, was to pay homage to, I think it'd be considered the very first ROM hack of Super Mario RPG ever made, the Bob-omb Mafia ROM hack. That hack was made by the guy, excuse me, by the guy that made the Lazy Shell editor program. So yeah, just as a way to respect that, I guess, I made them the bad guys here. I brought back the Mafia. There is an order of operations here that's recommended. That is to beat the professor first, because he can do stuff like heal the robot, or change his attack patterns. So it's better to get him out of the way first. And then as far as the robot itself goes, you want to beat the front first, because if you beat the back first, then the front changes into magic mode and starts using powerful magic attacks on you. So you just kind of have to deal with the fact that the backside is using status effects on you. It's better than having magic used on you. We'll make a quick pit stop to go save. Even though I made this game, and I for the most part know what the enemies are capable of, You still never know when one of them might combo you. You know? Put you to sleep, use a magic attack on you so you can't heal, and then next thing you know, you're done. I hope you guys appreciate all the puns in these little battle introduction things. Even though these two Magic Koopas look the same, they do in fact have different battle scripts. They do different things. Once these guys use Recover, you know they're low on HP, so I figured I didn't need to heal on that one. Now, since Yellow is more of a defense-oriented character, he's probably one that is a good idea to take whichever the highest bonus is on any given level up, because he really cares more about the defense than anything, and that's a good way to make sure he's got well-rounded defense. Something else you may have noticed is that for some attacks, like the Poison Orb attack, the number of orbs, the number of times you can time it, are less than they were in the original game. That spell used to be Fire Orb, but you could do, I think, 16 orbs with Fire Orb, but that was only, what, 7 or 8? Something like that? The reason being is that the spells that the allies use all kinda got mixed up. You know, when I was overwriting spells, coming up with new ones, I just had to overwrite whichever spell made the most sense to overwrite. You know, if I had a vision for Red throwing his shell, then Shell Toss was the one that made the most sense. If I wanted this big monster to pop out of the ground, then it made the most sense to overwrite the Crusher attack, because that involves a big rock popping out of the ground. So, what that translates to is Red, for example, using spells that originally Bowser used, or Peach used, and so on. And as it turns out, each character has their own unique timings for their types of spells, like Mario rather. His fire orb attack, you press Y repeatedly and you get so many orbs that come out. What it translates to is, here on the special screen, where it shows this attack has this much magic power, this attack has this much magic power. Those numbers kind of become meaningless once you start switching around who can learn what spell. You can have two spells that both have 50 magic power, but just because of the way the timing works, the type of timing, they could do completely different damage. Like, all of Geno's spells have these multipliers where if you hold Y for power for the perfect amount of time, it will do double the damage it's supposed to do. Whereas Mario's spells, they do a base damage plus an additional few points of damage for each individual orb, each individual time you press Y in the allotted time. So to combat that, and to kind of even things out, so that the numbers on the special screen actually do give you an idea of how strong it is, I had to adjust the timings on some of the spells. So any of the spells that used to be Geno spells no longer have the 2 times multiplier. I think the most they go up to is 1.25. And then for the spells like Poison Orb, where you press Y and, depending on how fast you can do it, more orbs come out, those are capped at 7 or 8, so that it actually evens out. All of this to say that Geno in the original game is way OP. Alright, that guy was ranked number 1, which means that our next fight is the champion himself. Before that happens, more plot. Alright, got the key to the storage room, but before we do that, we're gonna take another nap, because we have a boss fight coming up. It's always time for treasure. And here you can see the Bob-omb Mafia is trying to shake him down, and the Ant Agonizer is in on it. Yeah, this is another boss fight where there's an order of operations that makes it easier. The Ant Agonizer, when you use a magic attack on him, he uses Vigor up on himself, so it's best to save him for last and not use any magic on him if possible. Thankfully, like I said, Bob-ombs are weak to shell attacks. I know I just said don't use spells on him, but he's almost dead. Alright, next fight is the championship fight. So again, before we do that, time to save. This sprite here is completely unedited. This was in the original game's code, it's just never used anywhere. I love the fact that they decided to give him sunglasses too. So how could I not say that he's Gonzalez Jr.? How could I not make him a fight in this game? He is vulnerable to poison, and poison is great in this game, especially when you can use it on bosses. Most bosses are immune to it, but this is one that is not. Just like poison only affects you for 3 turns, it only affects enemies for 3 turns too. Alright, now we're the champions. And we also get Champ's Room. And this crystal. And Todovsky just gave us a hint there. He said be sure to try on the robes. They're plush and comfortable. but we'll have to do that later, because we're teleported back to Bowser's Keep. I laid things out a lot like the Paper Mario games, in that every time you collect one of the crystals, one of the MacGuffins that you're trying to collect to beat the game, you'll have these intermissions where you'll talk to Kamek, or you'll have some other plot dump, some lore dump, where we talk about this is what we're doing, this is what we figured out, so on. I feel like that's a good way to say, you just beat this level, you just fought a tough boss, we're gonna take a break for just a second. Kamek telling us that if we want to find more crystals, we should go talk to the Shy Guys, because the Shy Guys are known for collecting shiny trinkets. And here we get our first look at what actually happened to these 4 characters who got kidnapped. They're stuck in a jail cell. And same with Cooper. He and Colorado were captured back at the beginning of the game, so now we get to find out where he's been. Cooper is a more magic-oriented character. Really, all it takes is one deep freeze attack, and these guys are dead. There is only one way to go, because every other door is locked. This isn't really meant to be a full level, it's meant to be almost an interactive cutscene, if you want to call it that. There were parts of the game like this, where I worry about getting too story-heavy, where the player feels like they're just watching text boxes and cutscenes for minutes and minutes. They get bored. So I wanted to have this brief part where you would control Cooper and feel like, okay, I'm actually doing something now, instead of just reading. Alright, we're gonna call it here for now. This ended up being a pretty long video, but Glitzville was a pretty long level. So thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.